think our initial thought of veterans as somebody that's carrying a weapon with boots on the ground in a combat zone. The thing that we try to do with the honor flight is recognize all, no matter what their assignment was, what they did, as veterans. They all served honorably and they all deserve the same recognition for their willingness to serve.
They did not have any idea what they were in for. There was no way for them to know the response that people would make to their appearance.
Getting through security in Salt Lake, people just stopped.
And it wasn't just general citizens that were stepping aside to applaud. Most of the employees in the airport, the people would come out of their stores, the TSA agents would do their job and then thank them. The security personnel, many people would come to welcome them. It takes a few minutes for them to figure out, oh my goodness, this is for me. This is for me and my buddies, that these people are clapping and thanking us and getting emotional and coming up to shake our hands.
It was the beginning of 3 days of that kind of reception.
I'm excited, this will be fun.
There's many lonely moments when one is serving in a combat situation or a war zone. And often the only thing that would relieve those moments would be the mail.
On the plane, our veterans received this envelope full of mail, a lot of it from their own families, children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, or neighbors, and some from school children that they didn't know.
This mail call that was done on our honor flight was very symbolic of a very tender times for them. The mail that they received is what got them through that week, that gave them hope and that reason to fight and to continue to go on.
It was amazing to sit next to someone that was opening these parcels of mail and thinking about what that meant to them.
Everyone in the family, all of them, and they all wrote a letter. It took me the last 100 miles to read them because I bawled all the way in. Now that's the story.
So the mission of the honor flight is to create an atmosphere for 3 days for these veterans, to make them feel that they truly are something special, something that our country values. Everything from the bagpipes to the military personnel to the people standing along the sides clapping for them like they're in a parade. We want them to feel unique, to feel extraordinary.
I had mixed emotion because I felt like, whoa. And I mean, it was unusual to be recognized after all these years. It's been a long time.
It was really nice to have people that never knew me come and say thank you.
We arrived at the World War II Memorial early on Friday morning, and we were greeted with a huge crowd of individuals. We had a color guard that was there, we had a bugler that played taps. All of our veterans were able to line up and enjoy that color guard coming in and presenting the colors of the United States. Wonderful to see 50 veterans saluting the flag.
I've heard so much about all the things we've seen, but to hear about it and seeing it on TV is nothing compared to actually being there and seeing it. But what impressed me more than anything else is the reception we got from the people standing around. I thought the spirit and the patriotism was lost in America, but it isn't. It's just kind of hiding out a little bit.
Oh, I think the World War II monument was just fantastic.
I was amazed at all the children that were at the monument. I always worried that they weren't getting enough education about our wars, but they sure are.
One of the special memories there is the Wall of Honor, where there are 4,000 stars that represent 100 lives that were given per star. And at the base of that wall, it says, "Here we mark the price of freedom." Now, to our veterans, that was very real. And it reminded them, many of them, of their buddies that gave their lives. Many of the veterans that were with us were one of very few that survived within their own companies. The symbolism within that memorial is very profound and very touching to these veterans.
The thing that really made me happy is when I went to the World War II memorial, and they had told me that if you typed your name, that it would tell you if you were in that list of those who'd been in World War II. And it did bring up my name, but it really made me happy to think that my posterity could go there and type my name in and see what happened to me.
I think my most emotional trip is when I went to the Korean Memorial, and I could feel some of the feelings that put out.
Those that have seen that before know that that is also a very reverent place. A favorite quote on that memorial is, "Freedom is not free." Many of the veterans quoted that throughout the day.
Two of the things that were special to me was going back to the Vietnam Memorial. Some of my friends' names are on the wall. But then what has impressed me on this whole trip has been the number of people who have shown appreciation for the veterans. When I came home from Vietnam, it was much different. There was absolutely no appreciation. It's been wonderful, the reaction of people accepting us and coming here. That's been a big deal.
And many times they would approach us to thank us, but one in particular, he approached Ron and I together, and he says, "I want to thank you guys for what you've done." But he says, "I don't know how." He says, "Words cannot express the appreciation and gratitude in my heart for being able to come on this trip and for what you all have done for us." That right there made every ounce of effort worth it.
I heard from several of our veterans that I didn't know anybody cared. That 3 days showed them that there are a lot of people that do care, and they care a lot.
At the Navy Memorial, seeing the Navy drill team perform 60 years ago, I was on the Navy drill team. So it was a lot of fun to be able to see that.
Two of our veterans that we were with came forward and told us that they were prior members of the Navy drill team. And as I got on our bus to leave that memorial, one of those individuals looked at me and said, "That right there was worth the entire trip for me."
We drove into Arlington to see the changing of the guard. It's a very solemn and special ceremony that takes place when we were finished with the changing of the guard. Many of our veterans walked down into the rows of tombstones to reflect. I think it was a very, very special experience for them.
I think the trip to the monuments has been extremely inspirational and brought back a lot of emotions about your service.
Everything is so wonderful. I can't believe how they could get all this stuff together.
It's just been one fantastic experience after another. I was emotionally drained every time we walked through an airport, and then the things that we've actually seen and done here, it's just really been an emotional experience, the whole thing.
I would like to say that it was fantastic, the whole trip. Each and every item I looked at was new, and I loved it.
Well, I enjoyed everything so much it scared me. Really, I really liked it. I've never had anything in my life like this has been.
Coming off the airplane at Salt Lake Airport, many of these veterans were pretty worn out. Well, once again, as they stopped off the airplane, the applause began. When we went to board the bus, lined up along the parking structure was the Patriot Guard. As we boarded the buses and were ready to return, the Patriot Guard assembled on their motorcycles and they became our escorts.
Outside of the Fair Park building that we were going to meet in, there were hundreds of people. And as we got off the buses, it was obvious that the building itself was kind of bursting at the seams with people inside. There could have been a couple of thousand people.
All the effort that went behind putting that flight together was well worth the looks in the faces of these veterans as they expressed their appreciation for what had happened.